Hey guys, it's been a while. We lost last week because I realized that many of you did not have power, Wi-Fi, water. It's been a struggle, and so we're going to kind of ease back in this week here with the first set of notes. We'll do a set of notes today, and we're going to do another set on Friday, and there will be associated assignments with both of these as well. And then next week we'll try to get 3 sets of notes in if we can. Again, we're still doing a review, so this is nothing new. We're just kind of going back over things that we did at the beginning of the semester. And you can see from what you're looking at on your screen right now, we're talking about solving equations. And when we look at solving equations, we're just simply trying to isolate the variable and come up with a value for that variable that makes the equation true. So with question number 1 right here with this example, you simply distribute the 6 through the parentheses, and you get 6n plus 30 is equal to 2. And we found that by multiplying everything inside the parentheses by 6. The next step would be to subtract 30 from both sides. And you will end up with 6n equals negative 28. And then we divide everything by 6, isolate n, and you should be left with n is equal to wow, I just had a blank. Did I do that right? Yeah. So that's negative 28 over 6, which will reduce to negative 14 over 3. If you come up with a reducible fraction, please make sure you put it in simplest form. So we do get n is equal to negative 14 over 3 in this case. For the next example on number 2, I'm not going to go through every example because, again, like I said, this is a review. So if you need help, please ask me. If I don't do an example that would help you out more, let me know, and I'll go back and do it for you and send it out to everyone. In this one, on the left-hand side, we have a rational expression, which means we essentially have division going on right here. So what we need to do is multiply both sides of this equation by negative 4. And when we do that, we're just left with the numerator of 3 times 5 minus 3x. And negative 4 times negative 15 is going to be positive 60. And then just like in example 1, we distribute this 3. And we're going to get 15 minus 9x equals 60. We will subtract 15 from both sides. And we get negative 9x equals 45. Divide everything by negative 9. And you're left with x is equal to negative 5. So there's your solution for that one. I'll skip down here to number 5 and we'll look at this one. On this one, we have variables on both sides of the equation. So we need to get the variable on one side and all our constants on the other. So what I think I'll do is I'll add 6a to both sides. And remember, you can only combine like terms. So that gives us 16a minus 7 is equal to 21. Then I'll add the 7 to both sides to get my constants on one side. 16a is equal to 28. And then divide everything by 16. And you get a is equal to 28 over 16. That also is reducible. They're both divisible by 4. So you can get 7 over 4 as your answer. We'll look at number 8. With number 8, the thing that we want to be careful of is this negative sign in front of the parentheses, which means we're essentially distributing a negative 1 through the parentheses. So we can write this now as 16 minus 7m minus 3. We'll distribute the 8 through this set of parentheses. And then just like we did in the example 5, we start moving things around until we get all of our variables on one side and all of our constants on the other. We also notice that we can combine this 16 and negative 3 to get 13 minus 7m. So I'm going to add 8m to both sides. And that gives me 13 plus m is equal to 8. subtract the 13 from both sides, and I'm going to get m is equal to negative 5. Okay, so solving equations is not shouldn't be too bad for you. It's basically an Algebra 1 review. Let's look at example 9. In this case, again, we have a rational expression. So we want to take this 2 and multiply both sides by 2. So what we end up with on the left is just the numerator is all that remains when we multiply the entire thing by 2. And then when we multiply the right-hand side by 2, that means everything gets multiplied by 2. And we see that we have a negative in front of the parentheses here. So we're going to do the same thing we did in our last example and distribute the negative. So we get 10x plus 17 minus x plus 9 is equal to 6x plus 2. Combine like terms on the left. 10x and negative x gives me 9x. 17 and positive 9 gives me 26. And now I'll subtract 6x from both sides. And that gives me 3x plus 26 equals 2. Subtract the 26 from both sides. Then divide everything by 3, and I get x is equal to negative 8. And that's your final answer on number 9. When we go on to, let's say, number 13. Number 13 is interesting because we have a fraction or a ratio or proportion on both sides of the equation. And here you can do something you've always wanted to do every time you see these, is you just cross multiply. So I take 5 times x plus 4, which gives me 5x plus 20. And then I multiply 2 times 3, and I get 6. And then now I have a proportion that's easier to solve. I just subtract the 20 from both sides and then divide by 5. And you get negative 14 over 5. Number 14 is the same thing. We'll do this one as well. So we will cross multiply. So we multiply 10 times 2x minus 8. So that gives me 20x minus 80. And then multiply the denominator on the left by the 8, and that's going to give me 40x minus 72. So I'm going to subtract the 20x from both sides because I'd like to try to keep my x values positive if I can. That gives me negative 80 is equal to 20x minus 72. I'm going to add 72 to both sides, so that gives me negative 8 is equal to 20x. And then divide everything by 20. So I get x is equal to negative 8 over 20, which reduces to negative 2 over 5. The last thing that we're going to look at on this set of notes are literal equations. There's a few questions like this on the homework. You're simply given an equation and you're asked to solve it in terms of a specified variable. For number 15, it says to solve it for pi. So we're just getting pi by itself. One way to look at this is we have c is equal to 2r times pi. Because multiplication is commutative, I can rearrange that. And now it's just one step. I can divide everything by 2r. And that gives me my value for pi. The same thing happens over here on number 16. Where I'm solving for p in this case. The first thing that I may want to do on this one though is multiply everything by 2 to get rid of that fraction. And so now I have 2a is equal to little a times p. Divide everything by little a. And I get p is equal to 2a over little a. With 17, we're going to solve it for b. So I multiply both sides by c in this case. So I get a plus b is equal to 5c. And I'm going to subtract the a to isolate b. So I get 5c minus a. The last one that I'll do will be number 20. Here we're solving for n. And I have this multiplication times 180 right here. So if I divide both sides by 180, it gives me s over 180 is equal to n minus 2. and then I just simply add 2 to both sides. So I get S over 180. 2 is equal to n. And that's how you solve a literal equation. There's a couple of word problems on here. I don't think that I put any on the assignment, so I won't go over these examples right now. So the ones that I've covered should be enough to get you through the assignment that I'm going to post for you to go along with these notes. If you have questions, you guys know how to reach me. Just send me a message on Remind, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can for you. I really do hope you guys are doing great. I'm very disappointed that I won't get to see any of you again this semester at least, but I am looking forward to seeing you again in the fall.